Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to another episode of Trudge Report. We are a recovery-based podcast, but don't worry, if you're not sober or not ready to be sober, we talk about plenty of other things, including sports, trending topics, and a good bit of nonsense. My name is Shawn and I am your host. I'm joined by my good friends, colleagues, compatriots, fellow trudgers, Bill, Greg, and Corey. You can check out new episodes of Trudge Report every Tuesday. Listen on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Later every week, you can watch us on YouTube and Facebook, but please be sure to download, like, and share on all your listening platforms. You can find us at all social media handles at Trudge Report Pod. We are brought to you by Stella Mix Podcast Management and the wonderful producer and editor, Miss Janine Stella. Gentlemen, let's go around the horn. Greg, how are you this evening, sir?
I am fantastic. Thank you for asking. It's been a jam-packed, fun week. Got to go to the Guardians game over the weekend, man, and see some my first live action baseball of the season. It was a lot of fun. My girlfriend's dad has season tickets, and they're like phenomenal. They're like 6 rows behind home plate. So good old American pastime baseball. We got a win out of it. It was a great fun experience. And we got a busy week, man. We got we're recording this on a little early day. A couple of us got things going on this weekend. I have on Friday, I'm about to see 4 concerts in 7 days. So we got
nice
Luke Bryan on Friday. I don't know how psyched I am about that, but we'll see. I'm open to it. You know, what's up? He's got a bunch of other acts with him, so we'll see how it is. And then we got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We got Train and REO Speedwagon, followed by Chicago, Earth, Wind, and Fire, and then Alanis Morissette and Joan Jett.
Wow,
Wednesday.
dude!
So we got a packed house for next week, and then on Friday I'll be traveling to New York City with our good friend and fan of the show Carmine to see Foo Fighters at Citi Field.
Nice.
What were the ones before Atlantis Morissette?
Train and REO Speedwagon on Monday, and then Chicago and Earth, Wind, and Fire on Tuesday. So
you never heard of REO Speedwagon, have you, Bill?
No.
Oh, dude, they're classic, bro.
No, never.
They're fantastic.
Checks out, honestly. It checks out.
Train either. I don't know. Train.
Drops of Jupiter, dude.
Train
I know Drops of Jupiter.
Yeah, Train was my wedding song. That marry me. Man.
Yeah.
So the one with Carmine and Luke Bryan would be my favorite on the list.
Oh yeah, dude.
That's a hell of a resume
for Foo Fighters, man. It's been years and years, like literally a decade and a half since I saw him last. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
I didn't know you saw Foo Fighters.
Yeah, I saw him way back. I think it was like second album way back. And then Chicago and Earth, Wind, and Fire. I'm pumped for that one, man. That's just gonna be good old school jams, bro.
Yeah. Chicago and the Beach Boys was the first ever concert I went to. My mom took me to.
Yep. So
good stuff.
I'm coming to Florida. Chicago.
Very good.
Coming to Florida.
Corey, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm fine. I'm good.
Convincing too. Good. Nice.
Yeah, I'm good. There's nothing going on with me at all, actually. I told you guys pre-pod, but I leave here Sunday and I get to see my family, so that's exciting. I'm excited for that. I'm also trying to squeeze in a tattoo, as mentioned last week, hopefully Friday. And apparently you can't swim after getting a tattoo. Well, with God, all things are possible, so
Corey,
not only are you seeing a rushed tattoo artist in Minnesota, but you're going to swim with it after.
Yep. You would be the one to get one, spend a couple $100s, then have that like fade away like within a few days.
Well, it's not going to fade away. It's going to kill me.
But Corey, real quick though, you know, Florida is like, honestly, it's like another level when it comes to tattoos is like quality. So maybe just get it in Florida.
Honestly, nowadays they're all over the place. There's a lot of good artists, but yes, Florida does have some great artists. But
I was just in Virginia, and I was like, "Whoa, boy, these tattoos are really bad."
Yeah, well, there's
like
some you don't go.
Some pick and pokes going on.
Yep.
Why is Virginia a bad tattoo country?
I don't know. It was weird. It was like
a lot of jailhouse tats up there.
Yeah, it was a weird mix there. It was like hipster, trash, or no, something like that. Yeah, basically. I'm sorry. I love you, Virginia.
Yeah, that is my home. It is
not my
home
family's,
state,
but everyone else. Like, it was just a weird vibe. I was telling my wife. I don't know, but
What part of Virginia was it again?
it was outside of Richmond and then Virginia Beach. But I went to Fredericksburg. It's like it's like it's an entire bar covered city. I mean, all bars and just tatted up, weird tat.
There's a college there too, so it's a
okay. That makes more sense.
That'll make it weird.
I mean, if you're into the kind of stuff, I love American history. So like the Civil War stuff out there is a lot of fun. You know, all the little places that they got.
There's the Edgar Allan Poe Museum in Richmond that I pass on the highway whenever we drive to and from Jersey, and I so badly when I have time to stop. That would be fun. I feel like
that'd be sweet.
I saw that, but is he from there? I thought he was from Baltimore or something.
Well, that's where he got famous. That's where he got famous. That's where I don't know if he was actually like born there, but he got famous there.
Drunk there.
Baltimore. That's where he wrote those. That's where a lot of his poems were written.
The Ravens, the Baltimore Ravens, I would think, is from that.
Is that why?
I think.
Well,
could be wrong. I mean, I gotta look it
right.
It's not. I'm not saying that's exactly why they named the team that, but I'm sure it had some. I'm sure somewhere along the line of people that were naming the team, it had something to do with that.
That'll blow my mind. I mean, because there's Ravens everywhere.
Let's do this. Bill. How are you tonight? And then Bill, you're our resident fact checker. You can fact check it once we move on.
Okay. So number one, Corey, I'm a little upset you're leaving that couch because you finally got the matching hat for it. So it's a little upsetting.
Go Birds.
But I'm generally good. It was a short week. We drove 13 hours home Saturday, so I was in concussion protocol Sunday. My wife did drive part of the way, so God bless her for that.
He's been cleared. He's been cleared, people.
Yeah. So yeah, besides that, I'm good. I had to give my wife some pointers on the highway, and she clearly told me not to ever do that again. That was fun. 13 hours in the car with the kids is just a lot. So, by the time we got home, I was laid up. But I'm happy to be here tonight and just saw some extended family tonight. So it was a good, exciting night for me, and just glad to be here with you, gentlemen.
Good stuff. All good on my end. Nothing really out of the ordinary. Bill and I were at one of our recovery groups together earlier this evening. Did see some good people. The girls were at the neighbor's house having a ball, eating a bunch of candy. So I picked them up, and they're all jacked up. But everything's good. Everything's good on my end. No
and Shawn, this is not a filter. I am this red. Shawn can confirm. He saw me because I was in the goddamn sun.
He's like a lobster
for 5 days. So
it's like a lobster they just picked out of what's the river behind the Pittsburgh baseball field?
There's no lobster in there. I don't even think there's mutated crawfish in there.
So, all good on my end. So, all right. So we're gonna roll right into it, guys. We got a little lighthearted. Like Greg said, we're recording this on a Wednesday. Everyone's kind of busy. I had to rush home. So did Bill. So we're keeping it light tonight in the first segment. It's gonna be kind of fun. We're going to go favorite desserts and maybe a little overrated, underrated desserts there. Mostly top 3-ish, but really each person gets an allotted amount of time. They can kind of just go whatever direction they want. But we're going to do some favorite, least favorite, overrated, underrated desserts tonight. So with that, we will start with Mr. G.A. Phillips. You're up first.
All right. So yeah, it might be busy, but we're never too busy to talk about sweets around here.
That's right, baby.
And this is a little not too much of a play on words, but a little bit bittersweet for me because
see what you did there.
I've been I've been trying to do the diet, eat healthy, macros kind of thing. So like I don't get to have this stuff often anymore. So it is a nice treat when I do get it. But yeah, man, as far as I just kind of broke it down to like top 3, right? But like and I didn't really do an overrated, underrated, but I would have to say like as far as overrated, man, realistically anything anything that's lemon flavored, any kind of puddings, like so tapioca pudding, banana pudding, anything that's just gonna like slide in and not really give you any kind of like flavor, any kind of pizzazz, any kind of nothing. Anything that's going to be served at 5 p.m. in an old folks home that they may or may not have crushed up a bunch of meds and mixed them in to pacify the old folks, right? So that's all over.
My pudding.
Yeah, my pudding. With the exception of one underrated gem, and if you've ever had it, it has to be done right because it can be screwed up. But old school style bread pudding can be really, really good.
I love bread pudding, dude.
With a nice scoop of vanilla ice cream.
I'm a rice pudding fan too, by the way. Just so you know. Love rice pudding. No tapioca, none of that bullshit. But
I've had neither of those for maybe 20 years at least. I mean, probably more. So I got to explore this.
tapioca.
So coming in at number 3, and again, one of those things that has to be done right. We're not talking about the shit you're gonna find at Old Country Buffet or something that you whipped up with canned peaches and a little
Golden Corral
at the grocery store. I'm talking about old school Southern peach cobbler. Right.
Ooh,
if it's made by somebody named Mammy or Debbie or Darla or anything like that, even better.
Or May.
Ooh.
And
like Auntie May made a freaking peach cobbler. It just knocked my socks off. That'll get me bricked up right now. I'm just thinking.
I like Darla's. I like Darla's peach cobbler.
Yeah, man. I'm telling you,
Darla can make some.
And when they use the biscuit topping, they put the biscuit stuff in, they put the peaches on top, and then the biscuit bakes through the peaches. It's phenomenal, dude. So yeah, but it's got to be real deal Southern peach cobbler. Is a pinnacle of desserts.
Listen, honorable mention though with that, Buc-ee's has decent peach cobbler, just a little thing.
They do.
That's
It's
you say.
No, they do.
Enough. It's good enough.
Of all the road trips I've done, I've never been to a Buc-ee. I don't know if it's Buc-ee's, Busey's. I don't know how it's pronounced.
I went to
I'm
my
gonna take
first
this
one recently. It was awesome.
Hold on. My first time was awesome, and I went back there twice. It was terrible. I'm sorry. It's all hype. I don't know.
The whole store or the peach cobbler?
No, just the vibe of everything to me was like,
it's a spectacle.
The scale of it is what's amazing.
It was like,
I think they have great pulled pork sandwiches too.
I haven't come across one. I don't know where to find them.
Well, you're out in the West,
Fort
dude.
Pierce is getting one, I think. Oh, the undisclosed Fort Pierce location is getting one.
Where? No, just kidding.
You might get shot on the way out, but
Greg, real quick, there's a place I think called Corey might know, Cobbler Factory or something in Stewart.
Yeah,
peach
does that count?
Factory, yeah.
Is that any good?
They're good. No, they're very good.
I haven't had a good Southern cobbler.
I've had them. So they just specialize in a variety of cobblers or what?
Yeah, and they got other stuff too, but
they're on Uber Eats.
That's their main thing. They're right next. They're owned by the same people that own the Small Cakes factory that's right next to them.
Oh, Small Cakes is fire. Yeah.
So we gotta. I got to make a trip to Stewart. So
anytime.
Yeah. So coming in at number 2, and some people might have something to say about it. I don't care. You don't mess with a classic ice cream, bro. I mean, and for me, I'm a cookies and cream guy. Corey, I don't know if when you were up here, I forget if when you were up here we went to Mitchell's ice cream. Mitchell's ice cream up here, man, it's like handmade. It is a Cleveland staple. It is absolutely phenomenal. They have my 2 favorite ice creams. They have, and really my 2 favorite, I think, on the planet thus far. They have a caramel sea salt that'll knock your socks off, and they have this thing called a a wild berry crumble. So it's like berries and like a graham cracker.
Yeah.
Oh my God, dude, this thing is so freaking good.
Caramel or caramel?
Caramel sea salt.
I say caramel.
I did too. I was messing with them.
Yeah. So
caramel.
Yeah, you can't mess with ice cream, dude. You just
it's
can't.
on my list.
Nothing tops it, especially on you can eat it on a cold day, but man, on a hot summer day, going and getting a cone or whatever avenue you like to consume your ice cream in, but I'll take a waffle cone any day. And coming in at number one, boys, and I don't know how you could be a red-blooded American male and not agree with me here, but coming in hot, number one, boobs. I'm talking Hooters, Knockers, sweater puppies, fun bags, Himalayan peaks, God's little pillows, boys. You know what? I love them. I got nothing but great things to say about them. If you got a little bit of a sweet tooth, you can slap some Ready Whip on them bad boys, maybe a couple cherries. They go down smooth every time. And
I was not expecting
always,
that.
Swear to God, I thought you were gonna go with a dessert name.
I didn't know. I didn't know.
Where?
that is a dessert in this household, boys.
I thought it was like a famous, like Ohio, like low key, like Ohio has this dessert. That was good.
I mean, Ohio.
They are
keep a can of that Ready Whip.
Find a good set of boobs anywhere in the country. So, highly recommended. That's what I got. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Greg.
Thanks.
That was perfect. All right, Mr. Mitchner, what's up? Give it to us.
Well, I second Greg's number one, but all right. Well, let's start with.
I'm gonna keep my mouth. I almost went down a tangent there.
That's not good. Yeah, we can leave that where it's at. So, I want to say so overrated. I agreed with Greg's too, but in addition to. Dude, key lime pie is ridiculous. Why do you people like this stuff?
I like key lime pie.
I figured you would. How about you, Bill?
It's number one on my most overrated list.
Okay, cool. Greg, key lime?
It's got to be done exactly the way I like it done with the graham cracker crust and
it's
all
the
that.
crust. Yes, thank you.
It's
the crust. Yes.
All right.
I can get that on a good cheesecake.
Not a fan, but anyway, I'm pretty plain with desserts, I think. To no one's surprise, but
yeah, shocking.
Let's talk straight up New York style cheesecake. Good old slice of cheesecake. And actually, honestly, I'm not even lying here. Walmart has pretty good like plain cheesecake. Honestly, that's one of my favorites, to be honest. Then we're gonna go. I don't know, root beer float. I'm a root beer float kind of guy.
You are, aren't you? Yes, you are.
You strike me as a root beer float guy.
I can see it, dude. I can see it.
It's the best. I don't do it often at all, and that's not because I'm trying to eat healthier. I just never tend to have root beer and ice cream at the same time.
You never think of it. Yeah, it's not something you think of.
But it is one of my favorite. Actually, fun fact, when I was getting high, as you boys know, you don't tend to have much of an appetite. The only things that I would eat was like sweets, s'mores. I would make s'mores like wherever I could, or like ice cream.
You'd make
like
s'mores, like that was a thing.
Well, I wouldn't heat it up.
Burst up a campfire and just rock some fire.
No,
that's so much work.
No.
Almost at the fire pit.
I don't even want to do that now.
We're talking raw s'mores.
No, the ice cold s'more. Huh?
Ice cold.
You got to like work to get the marshmallow to cram down on.
You don't even know how serious this is. I had a cooler in my trunk where I kept my s'mores making products.
A cooler?
And that's, a styrofoam cooler. And my mom bought me groceries once out of the kindness of her heart, which consisted of graham crackers, chocolate, and marshmallows.
Oh, boy.
I had a cooler in my trunk, too, when I was back then.
Yeah,
do you know what was in mine, Corey?
What's that, beer?
Beer.
No,
I'm a real alcoholic. Beer.
Not me. But that's not even my point here. My point is when I was getting high, I would also make root beer floats out of cookie dough ice cream. And it was the best because once you finish everything, there's cookie dough at the bottom. So that's a weird thing now. Anyway, moving on. Number one for me is also ice cream, I think. I mean, I know it's ice cream. I think it's my number one. Banana split. I'm a banana split guy.
Ooh.
I like going to a specific.
Never been a fan.
There's a place, really? It's the best thing.
Like, I'll eat it. It's cool, but never been a fan. If you got one, I'll have a few bites for sure. But
no.
I mean, because it's kind of like it's kind of like, hey, let's take every dessert food we can find in the back and throw it all into one thing.
It's all about that banana.
I'm not
all about that
exactly.
banana.
It's about the banana. It's got the
get that banana piece in there, mix a little strawberry. Ooh.
I'm not a huge fan of banana flavored anything. I like bananas, but like banana flavored desserts, I'm not a huge fan. So
there's a place in Paulsboro, New Jersey, which is a shithole. Otherwise, other than this custard stand. It's not a custard stand. It's got a lot of things. It's got burgers and stuff. But anyway, they make badass banana splits, and I'm a big fan. I've been going there since I was a kid.
No,
But
oh,
Yep.
I'm sorry. No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's it, I think.
Nice.
Banana split guy.
Corey,
I have a
did not
question
see
then,
that coming.
Corey,
Okay.
for you.
Yeah.
Water ice. Not
Oh,
on the
yeah.
list?
Honorable
so-
mention. I'm not gonna. So that's not a dessert for me. That's a middle of the day hot sun type of deal.
Okay.
But yeah, dude, Rita's water ice is huge in Jersey, and there's custard stands and shit that have water ice. But I go to Rita's root beer flavored water ice.
Is that like a
Max.
snow cone?
Yes,
Essen-
Shawn,
essentially-
it's a
No,
snow
it's not.
cone or it's
Okay.
a slushy. We would call it
Okay,
a
got
slushy
it.
or a
Okay.
snow cone. They
It's
call it
not.
a water ice.
It's
There's-
water
there's-
ice.
Have you ever had one?
That's like that.
Yes,
that's
I
like
have.
that.
I have.
That's like that cheeseless fucking. Pardon my language.
But
that
you know what they
cheeseless
do?
pizza stuff that people from Philly like.
They don't just like how we would eat
What?
a snow cone up here
Yeah.
or a slushy. They put ice cream in it,
Yes.
and
What-
put.
So
But it doesn't
we were
make any
just
sense. What
in
is-
Richmond,
a
we
water
were at her
ice.
brother's. I never had one of these. We go to the snow can lady, okay? Nice
The
lady.
snow can lady.
Snow
Snow
cone,
cone.
sorry.
Gotcha.
Snow cone lady. She goes, I imported this ice from Philadelphia. I was
Oh,
like,
geez.
what?
So
Who
it's
imports
dirty.
ice? She
No,
brings me this
blended.
snow
So
cone
it's
with
got
ice
fentanyl
cream.
in it.
Fentanyl in it. I
Comes with a
fucking
needle.
nodded off the rest of the vacation. It was the best snow cone I've ever had. And I think that is what a water ice is. I guess it's water, right?
Water.
Right?
Water.
Yeah, so they say. You guys
Uh,
got to get to Rita's, man. There's a Rita's in Vero, I think.
I will
It's
say
still there.
Rita's is good. Rita's
has
good.
water ice?
It's what it is. It's Rita's
Oh,
water ice.
yeah. That's
Oh, I don't like Rita's.
it's a big
Okay.
deal up there.
That's a snow
All right.
cone.
Good.
I
good
do have a
stuff.
question for you boys, real quick. Not to hang out on this topic too long, but what's the deal with cheesecake? I find that to be so overrated. It's not even funny.
Well, I'll
Cheesecake?
get that's on my list. I'll get
Let's-
to it if you guys don't
Yeah.
mind. Bill might have it on his too, and
Am I next?
I will
think-
explain why. I will explain why.
I feel like it's a very hot take, but I feel like if I'm eating a piece of cheesecake, it's like I've got some kind of weird flavored cream cheese and I'm just shoving it in my mouth
Well,
with
that's
nothing
not-
else. It's
Not
What's
gross.
wrong with that?
Entirely far off, but
Sounds
It's,
great.
Yeah,
go
I'm
ahead.
good.
Just
Go
got
ahead.
bricked
Go ahead,
up.
Bill.
Yeah,
Go
so,
ahead,
yeah.
Bill. I'll delve into that.
It's on me. All right. So, overrated. We're gonna go here first and foremost. Oh, first of all, the Ravens were named after Edgar Allan Poe.
No
Nice.
kidding.
No joke. That's how I
Wow.
knew who Edgar Allan Poe was. No, I'm just
Quoth
kidding.
the Raven, nevermore.
That was a
Yeah,
joke.
Wow.
All right. Most overrated. I'm gonna start with one Corey mentioned. Key lime pie. Ever been to Key West? Ever see these nuts talk about key lime pie? I don't need to taste it anymore. I get it. It's terrible. Keep it down in your Salt Life stuff down in Key West. We don't want any more. Go up north and have some real desserts. Next on the list, creme brulee. Like most things lit on fire and brought to your table, they're just for show and they're not fucking good. Creme brulee sucks.
creme
Greg,
brulee.
you know it's true.
I love
Thinking
creme
about
brulee.
the
Dude.
taste.
Again, it's
going-
got to be made right. It's got to
Yes.
be made right.
Oh yeah, Greg made the most important point of all these desserts. They have to be made right. There is some shitty cheesecake and ice cream in the world,
Correct.
and there's some good kinds, right? And that's all desserts. You know, it has to be the place you like it. Number 3 on my overrated is mint ice cream. I don't know how my son eats it, but, so maybe I should be
Oh my
quiet.
God,
But
mint
it is
sucks.
disgusting.
It's like,
Like,
it's
I
like
don't know.
chewing gum and eating ice cream at the same
Grace
time. I
likes
don't-
Grace likes mint ice cream too.
It's only
my
old
God.
people and young people like
Yeah.
mint ice cream.
Yeah, I definitely don't.
None of you
I don't
guys
get it. 'Cause
No.
it's green? Is that why?
It's terrible.
The chocolate chips are nice. Like it is a nice little, but no, I'm
But
not.
I can get that
I'm
in
not ordering it.
vanilla. I
Again,
can get the chocolate chips in vanilla.
yeah. Again, if you have some, I'll have a few bites of yours, but I'm not ordering it.
Doesn't even
I'm not
clean your
wasting my
teeth,
order.
Shawn.
No, Corey, it does
You know?
not.
I am addicted to ice cream and I won't eat mint ice cream. I won't eat it. I'll let it, rot in the sun.
Yeah, where it should be.
Okay. Now I'll say I do have cheesecake on my good list, on my winner list. I'll let Shawn really get into it, but it has to be good cheesecake. There are really, really bad ones. I have cannoli. Same deal. You can't get a Wawa cannoli and think you're eating a cannoli. All right.
I love
During
cannoli.
COVID, I ordered a $60 bag of cannoli sauce from Jersey, and I was filling up cannoli shells, and I ate it was a big pastry bag of this cannoli stuff for $60 from this guy I was watching on YouTube. I ate the whole thing in 2 days. Just
You had the
filling.
munchies. Be honest.
Yo, that guy
Dude.
probably made a killing during COVID.
He
There's guys
killed
like
it.
him.
Sal.
Yes,
He's
dude.
doing the pizzas. Sal something. He's some skinny looking Italian dude. Yeah. Anyway, the cannolis are also nostalgic for me. You know, we grew up a lot of the cannolis and the cream puffs and those little treats that Shawn knows the name of that I don't.
The Squilladels, dude.
The Squilladels, yeah.
Squilladels. I love the cream puffs too.
Yeah.
Oh, they're the best.
I can eat
Pretty
a zillion
much.
of them.
Any other dessert though at my grandparents' house is on the negative list, like the old Werther's originals and those long sticks that are all dry. You think they're good and you eat them and they're terrible. Okay, so pea butt pie on the winners list. You guys are familiar with that? The old pea butt pie? Peanut butter pie. Peanut butter pie. If you have it done right,
don't ever refer to it as.
Dude, go to the district table. That's what it's called. Specifically, where
that whole restaurant is overrated. But
Shawn, go for the pea butt pie. Everything else there, I agree with you. But pea butt pie, $20, but it's this big. They call it pea butt. It is delicious. I mean, it is absolutely delicious. Publix has these sugar cookie ice cream sandwiches. It's a big sugar cookie on top of another sugar cookie with ice cream, and they're in a 3-pack. And I buy them and I eat one, and I'm like, this is smaller than a regular ice cream sandwich. I got to eat another one. So I eat the second one. I'll save the other one for tomorrow. About 2 hours later, I'm like, I'm just gonna eat the whole box. I'll get another box tomorrow. I do this all the time. I eat great all day, and that's what I do at nighttime. I fuck it all up. All right, and ice cream. Custard, froyo, cookie dough is my preferred flavor, and Culver's concrete mixers. Absolutely excellent. I know you're on board with that, Shawn. And then number 1 are Buckeyes and Reese's peanut butter cups. I don't know if they count on this list, but that is an American classic. I'll eat it until I die. It's fantastic. You can't beat it. It has to be a good one though, a fresh one. You got to buy them from the place that sells a lot of them. And I used to do that with the grape juice, man. It'd be like peanut butter and jelly all day, baby. So yeah, man, I got quite a sweet tooth. I love all those. Oh, and if you guys never, Shawn, I don't know if you ever have a fried banana. My grandma used to make them.
I have. Yeah.
Don't like them because you said you didn't like bananas.
They're okay. Again, if you got it, I'll take a few.
Not impressed. Okay. All right. Fried banana. Greg, you ever had one? You're a cooking man.
I've never had a fried banana before. No, but whipped cream. Dude, that just made me think of deep fried Oreos.
Oreos. Yeah, me too.
God.
I swear to God, I just pictured one going into my
Martin
mouth.
County Fair, baby.
Yeah, so good.
Year.
Those originated on the Jersey Shore. I'm just saying.
I was at the fair and I had the deep fried Oreo sundae with ice cream on it and chocolate syrup. Pounded it. Yeah. Nice. So I'm sick in the head when it comes to sweets.
I'm really hungry right now.
Yeah. You're up.
Good stuff, Bill. All right.
Can't wait to go to the gym after this.
On that note, I need to shout out just all like carnival desserts. Funnel cakes. I love funnel cakes. The deep fried Oreos. The Martin County Fair has deep fried red velvet Oreos. Oh, dude, it's really good. So I shouted all that. Overrated chocolate cake. I'm sorry. I know that most of the women are going to smite me for that. I think I get it. I got, triple layer 7 death chocolate cake. Don't give me a break. I don't need it. It's fine. It's okay. I'll have a few bites of Greg's if he's ordered it, but I'm not ordering it myself. I'm not a huge chocolate fan, so I'm a little biased for that. Like I don't mind chocolate, but I'm not eating chocolate ice cream. I'm not ordering a chocolate cake. I'm just not. So that's overrated for me. So ice cream, I love ice cream as well. I love coffee flavored ice cream. We had Hershey was our vendor at Sand Hill Cove, my old job. And they have the coolest flavors in the world. Like just all kinds of they had a guava cheesecake ice cream that was splendid. They had a graham cracker, like a golden graham cereal ice cream that was it'll knock those tits right off you, Greg Phillips. Like It's
Chips
so
and
good.
all.
They had it, and then I've seen it around here actually, but a cappuccino crunch ice cream. It's got toffee, Heath bar, chocolate fudge chunks, and just a good, nice, like dark espresso ice cream. So good. So I love some ice cream as well. Cookie dough is probably a fan favorite as well.
Oh yeah.
Cookies and cream, all that stuff. Top three. Okay. So my third one is really any type of pastry or cake or muffin even or anything like that. I like to warm it up and throw some ice cream on the side of it. Like anything. It can be like a coffee cake breakfast muffin. It can be a Danish. It can be your more traditional like pastries that you would eat with ice cream, but no bagels.
Bagel a la mode.
But like any of that stuff, a pound cake. I mean, any type of cake. I just like it a little warm and a little like ice cream on it, and you get that melt. Same thing with like cobblers or like cherry pie, peach pie, all that stuff, apple pie. Warm it up a little bit. Got to be made right, of course. Shout out to one of my other moms in Virginia. Her name's Carol. She lived. My dad had a big house, and like the top floor was its own little apartment. She lived there. She was like a second mom to me. My parents were always very close with her. Her name was Carol, and she made a killer cherry pie with the sugar crystals on top, and I'd always put some ice cream with it, and just so good. I will say French vanilla over vanilla bean any day. Just have to throw that out there. So that's my number three. That's kind of broad, but my number two is just cookie dough. Like that's it. Not cookie dough ice cream, just cookie dough.
Just raw dog that cookie
Good
dough.
call.
But not
Raw
even
dog.
just raw dog. You know what you know what I love to do? Get a bowl of it or a scoop of it. Yeah, that too.
All right, thank you.
And well,
Wait till we clip that.
I did it on another podcast
did.
already, so it really doesn't matter. I'll get it, I put it in a bowl, and I'll toss it in the microwave, like straight out of the refrigerator for like 10 seconds just to get the outer layer like a little gooey. Oh, dude, it's so
turn
good.
this into an art.
It's so good. So when I was young, I used to like before I got into drugs and alcohol, this is where it all started, boys. I would gather up change in $1 or $2, and I'd walk down to the convenience store and I'd buy the roll of cookie dough, and I would eat some, and I'd hide it under my bed because my mom would never let me have it. And I'd hide it, and I'd just take a little out at night and nibble on it a little bit and put it back. I had like a small little cooler under there that I would fill with ice to keep it cold.
I was going to say, I don't know
there.
what's weirder, Corey with his frozen s'mores, or you with your broiled cookie dough. Yeah.
And then one time I forgot about it and let it like the ice melt, and it was there for weeks, and it started growing funguses and molds and stuff, and that's how my mom found it. But yeah, I used to sneak off with that. So that's number two. Shout out again to all the Italian pastries and all that stuff growing up. A little like panettone, if you know what panettone is, not the regular like fruit panettone, but like the vanilla. They have like a vanilla flavored panettone. It's like a bread really, but it's like a sweet bread. They have chocolate panettone. Like it's delicious. I think my aunt used to make Easter bread all the time, which is like a sweet like I think it's challah bread, however you say it, and it's got like the Easter colors in it. It's just a little sweet and like really dense, not a whole lot of yeast. And it's really good. But my number one is cheesecake. And I'll say this, guys, like you're right. There's some shitty cheesecakes out there. Shout out to my mom, Suzanne. My mom is a fucking master class at making cheesecakes. Like she might do that. Yeah. She might do that better than anything in the world, including being a mother. No, I'm just kidding. But she's like, she's phenomenal at it. She has made me personally for birthdays, caramel cheesecakes, red velvet cheesecakes, creme brulee cheesecake, which is still it was so good. I mean, you name it, she's done it. Like all kinds of flavors. It's so good. It's the crust. The crust is the key. And I'll tell you what the other key is. Because Corey, you're right. Like straight up, some of the straight up just New York style cheesecakes, nice and creamy. They're really good. Yeah. But you make it not only with cream cheese and the sugar and all that other stuff, ricotta. You got to throw some ricotta in there. That's what makes a really good cheesecake. And if you go to like real Italian places, they're almost predominantly made with just like sweet ricotta. So there's some cream cheese in there.
Say that over the airwaves, Shawn. They might put a hit out on it.
They might. But that's truly the key. That's what separates like your Golden Corral cheesecake from like real deal cheesecake. But I'm a huge fan of it. I will eat it. I haven't had a regular birthday cake in 30 years. It's always been a cheesecake, even when I was young. So
Your mom makes a fantastic pasta, so I can't wait to see her so I can request some cheesecake.
It's so good.
I know she'll give me some.
Yeah, it's so good. And when I was growing up, and I see you guys putting something in the chat. I haven't looked at it yet. When I was growing up, she would make the batter for the cheesecake, and always she'd make a cheesecake, keep some batter, and send me to school with a little bit of it the next day. Dude, I was king of the world those days. So that's
Shawn,
it.
Sean, I just sent a picture. I just sent a picture in the chat. It is Cookie Monster sitting on a toilet with cookie dough in a spoon, and he's cooking it like he would be heroin. And that's you, buddy.
Can we put Janine on the clip to put that in?
I'll send it to Janine.
We got to clip that.
Yeah. I got to say one more thing. This might be the most passionate we've got about anything.
It's fucking terrible.
I mean, we're all firing them in, dude. I'm loving it.
I'm fired up.
I'm quite literally going to the gym after this. Also, I want to say honorable mention because Shawn, you started talking about pie, and I got to say it because I'm not an apple pie guy, but I love my wife's apple pie.
Yeah.
It truly is.
Is
so
that
good.
an analogy or
American
pie?
It means a few things. So
coconut custard pie, dude. Oh man, pecan pie. It's so good. All of it.
Hopefully, Gun Show doesn't watch.
I love pecan pie. Pumpkin praline. Pie, pumpkin praline, dude. So
I don't know what that is.
You didn't strike me as a panettone guy, Shawn. That one threw me off.
I love a little panettone. You warm the panettone up, put a little butter on it. No, I'm good to go. Have it for breakfast, lunch, golf course snack, dinner, whatever you want. Dessert.
Or slap a little butter on that thing.
Yeah. Are waffles in the a la mode classification?
Well, you want to hear some? So in my stoner days, and I still do it every now and then, just for the nostalgia. I'll make some waffles.
I thought you were gonna say smoke a joint.
And I'll make some waffles. I'll throw some peanut butter on it sometimes. A little maple syrup. I butter the waffle first. Sometimes I'll make like a brown sugar and butter melted mixture and slap that on it, dude. Oh man,
damn! I'm coming to your house for dessert.
And you know what else is really good? Put on that. You throw some almond butter on it. That's dude, love it. Love it.
If you're in the Pittsburgh area, go to DeLuca's Diner. Best milkshake you'll ever have. Telling you right now, they have the old milkshake machine. Woo wee!
Yeah, little hand spun.
Greg, you're about to find out. We're gonna meet you down there in August.
Did you, Greg? Did you just say little hands spun?
No, I said hand spun, but you can. I mean, I guess you
can. You couldn't spin them milkshakes.
I'll spin them.
Maybe only little hands can spin them. Maybe that's the key.
They got to be good for something.
That could be it.
That might be it. That might be the secret.
All right, anyway. that was good stuff. That was fun. So, we are now going to segue into our recovery segment. And shout out to Corey. This was a great idea. Corey, I think you had the last 2 weeks worth of ideas for recovery segments, maybe. But
God's inspiring me.
God is inspiring.
I got one for next week. Spirit of rotation, Corey.
Thank you for allowing God to work through you, Corey. So we're going to talk about sobriety in the workplace, anonymity in the workplace, kind of however we want to take it. Each of us will get a turn, and I'm going to kick it off first. Great topic, Corey. I want to just touch on a couple bullet points, I think, and then I'll let you guys kind of go a little more in detail on whatever you want to. So in terms of question we hear a lot, I think we can all agree is do you tell your employer you're in recovery? Some people say absolutely. Some people say no. Some people are in the middle. My first real job in recovery 13 whatever years ago was I did in the kind of interview process, I did let them know that I was in recovery. I was sober and rebuilding my life. I let my general manager know. But that was it. I didn't go around letting everybody know, but he was the one that made my schedule. And I just, wanted him to understand because he was asking where you're from, why you'd move up here, all that stuff. So, but people knew, and I didn't go into specifics with a lot of people, but there were a few that did know specifics, and I was able to help a good amount of people that way. We had an employee assistance program, and a few of them went to that for help. And then because they knew what I was involved in, they came to me, and I was able to take people to meetings, and, I played some golf with some and, just help them get on the right path. So for me, that was important. I was not a shout it from the rooftop person, but I will say that, and what I was taught was, if it can be helpful, if I can be of service, then I should never hesitate to break my own anonymity in any way, shape, or form. But you have to be careful, and I'll let you guys maybe talk a little more about that. in my current job that I've had for about 3 years, I didn't tell them because I'd been sober for so long at that point. I didn't automatically tell them. I probably didn't tell anyone at all for quite a while. It never came up, and it just didn't seem, there's a right time and place for things. A handful of them know now that I'm in recovery, but not, it was just different. It was just different times. It just didn't feel the necessary need. I do have to work with a lot of parents that have substance abuse issues. So I have broken my anonymity to some of them. And I think it's been beneficial. I think we've been able to meet on a common ground with that. And there's a kind of a mutual respect, whether they were serious about it or not. But I think that's important. As far as in the workplace, the attitude, like it kind of goes everywhere, but it's like, I might be the only example of a sober person that someone else gets to see. And I have to carry these principles. One of our textbooks says we carry these principles in all of our homes, occupations, and affairs, right? So that's everywhere. A much more important of these demonstrations of these principles lies before us in our respective homes, occupations, and affairs. The workplace is absolutely one of them. Sometimes it's the hardest place to practice these principles, but the harder the place to do it, the more important that I need to practice those principles in that place. I've never used the recovery card as I can't come to work today because I have this, or I have to do this, or I have to do that. I've always, once I got to know like bosses and stuff, I was fortunate to have like the same boss for 10 plus years. And now I've had 2 bosses in 3 years at my new job. But, I was able to go to him like it's at my old place that I was at for 10 years and say, hey, these are the nights that I would request these nights to be my set nights off, or, hey, on this night, I need to be out of here by a certain time. And I never once like illegitimately played that card and was like, oh, I got to leave early because someone's in trouble and I got to go help. You know what I mean? I never felt that was appropriate to do that. Plus my boss understood, but there was an understanding. I sat down with him. We had a conversation about it. He would start to ask questions. He was not in recovery himself, nor did he need to be, but he was intrigued by it. I'll never forget when I early on, I told him the HALT, hungry, angry, lonely, tired. And he thought it was like the most brilliant thing in the world. And then years later when he brought it up, and I was like, yeah, that's bullshit. We don't even abide by that. And he was like, what? He's like, I've been living by that for years, but that's an aside. So that's my spiel. We'll kick it to Bill next, and then we'll go, Corey, and then Greg will wrap us up. So go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, you touched on a lot of important things, mainly Halt's bullshit. No, but I think it's more important to disclose that early because you need it more. You need to be transparent. You need to be honest. My first job, first of all, I was in a terrible situation mentally, financially, physically, spiritually. And my first job, I'm pretty sure I don't know about in the entire country. I might be the only person I know that my general manager interviewed that ever came for a job making minimum wage in a full suit, because that's what I did. I was in a full suit, and this guy ended up being in my wedding. One of my best friends, shout out to Kevin, but he interviews me and all that stuff, and
Buffalo Kevin.
I'm all nervous, and all this stuff. But I immediately told him that I was in recovery, you know what I mean? Because I knew that I had to keep my recovery stuff like as my number one priority. And so regardless, putting my recovery first, it gave me the priority of having those time slots, having the boundary of X amount of hours that I was willing to work. And it kept me transparent, And then at my next job, I fully disclosed as well. And I was around a lot of professionals, but I've never been afraid to disclose my recovery. I think that, there's some underlying fear in myself about it, and I see it in other people. It's because the reputation of, if you're in recovery, you made mistakes and, you might not be the best person. Well, my idea behind that is like, be a great person after they realize you're in recovery, and you can change this person's perception on what they think about people in recovery. Now, I will say the last almost 8 years, I've been working at the same place. It's recovery friendly. My boss is in recovery. There's other people working there in recovery. And, I I've helped people with their stuff there. They've helped me with mine, and vice versa. You know, it's good to have that community. That's just a fortunate blessing of a situation for myself. But you know, if I ever, you know, if there was ever anything else going on for me, I have no problem disclosing. You know, obviously, I'm on a public podcast. I mean, I kind of felt some fear about that, talking about recovery publicly. So at this point, I know the four of us probably
I think we
don't
all did
mind.
it at some point too, you know?
Yeah. So, but I mean, at this point, I don't think any of us mind disclosing it to employers or whatever, because we're willing to come here publicly and talk about it. So, but if you're, you know, if you're new to something, though, like I said, I think it's important to just be that transparent up front, because I always hid shit back in the day, you know, like be the light and be non-afraid and be who you are. You know, I can't be who I am if I'm hiding the most important thing in my life, recovery, you know?
That's a great point.
So, all right. Well, that's it for me, boys.
Great point. Thank you, Bill. Go ahead, Corey.
Okay, I'll go ahead. You know, it's funny. What's wrong, Shawn?
Nothing. You amuse me.
You miss the hell out of me, and you know it.
I just am sad you don't respond in our group thread anymore. But anyways,
I do.
I digress.
Tell the world that. All right. It's funny because when I posed this as a topic, I didn't realize that I don't have much of a choice in disclosing it, because I have a criminal record.
He's felonious.
Yeah. So there's that. I didn't think about that until just now. But I mean, that's all right. I can say so one of the things I thought about with this was when I first came to Florida and I got out of rehab, and you got to go get your first job. I applied at the bowling alley and I didn't get hired. And I had an interview and everything. And what's the first thing? Not the first thing, but what's one of the first things that they ask when they see that you're from out of state is, what brings you to Florida? And being a young white kid that at the time was 150 pounds soaking wet, still gaining some weight.
And pasty.
Pasty. You know, when I said, oh, the sunshine, that probably didn't go over too well in their head. They weren't mean about it, but they probably thought I was lying, which I was, because obviously I'd come down for rehab. And so that's kind of interesting. I didn't get hired. They probably ran a background, I guess, and whatever. And then, you know, we know that a few months later I ended up getting hired there because they were extremely desperate, and that worked out for me. So that was nice. But I think at every job that I've had since getting sober, somebody's known. My last job before the current company that I'm at now, it was well known that I was sober. And that at times it actually, a lot of people, like I worked with a lot of sober people, to be honest, because it just kind of happened that way. It was like a networking thing, and you know, that worked out well. At this job, only HR knows, I think. And that's mainly because I've only met my direct supervisor once in person, and I've been there almost a year. So that's kind of weird, but like, it hasn't come up. I don't work nights, obviously, so like,
your job is fully remote. I think the listeners should know that.
Yeah, it's fully remote.
It's fully remote.
Yeah. So like, the thing is, like, when I was working at the bowling alley, I worked nights sometimes. I needed certain nights off to attend certain recovery events and things like that, right? Routinely, like you brought up, Shawn. So yeah, I mean, I did like to be transparent about that. So like, most of my bosses in my sobriety have known that I was sober. Few knew. Well, I'll say it like this: few coworkers knew specifics about my sobriety and what I was doing, and what events I would go to and this and that. But my bosses, I usually had a pretty close relationship with. I was technically management in both of my last jobs, so I was you know, pretty transparent with them. And I think that is wise. And there has been times where it's been useful, and I've been able to, I think, help somebody because of people knowing that. I've also helped people get hired. Like specifically at the bowling alley, I remember being tasked with background checking somebody, and through my research, I realized we know a lot of the same people, and that tends to be a thing in recovery. And just did a little research and kind of showed my boss, like, yeah, there's this on their record, there's this, but it's like 5 years old. I'm like, I vote yes. And I remember her literally saying, well, you worked out well. Why not? And I was like, I mean, that honestly, little things like that, like getting that from like a so-called normal person that's like in management, like that's such a nice feeling. Like when you've been a shitbag all your life and you turn that around. So yeah, I mean, I agree with Bill there. Like it's come in handy. So yeah, I mean, I think I'm with the camp that says, like, obviously it depends on the circumstance, depends on what type of job, all that stuff. Like I said, I didn't disclose it to my direct managers and supervisors here, but that, like, at the company that I'm at currently. But when I was going through the hiring process, I completely forgot they're going to background check me. I have to disclose. I have to get to that before they background check me. I have to tell them.
And I think to pause there, I think that's really important for any listeners that are going to go through that. Be upfront with your possible employers about your criminal background. Just get out in front of it, because if you don't, then you're almost definitely not going to get hired if they find something that is disqualifiable. But if you get out in front of it and you're honest and you explain it a little bit, there's a good chance they'll try and work with you if they can.
Well, and HR straight up told me that when I was getting hired, that she was like, it's good. She was like, I don't know if we'll be able to hire you. Let's see what happens. But I know that you wouldn't have had the job if we found out on the back end. That's what she said to me. And I was like, yeah, I was like, I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner. I literally I haven't had to apply for a job in 6 years. And I just didn't even think, like, of course you're going to background check me. Just didn't even think about it. But I did tell her before they ran it, and obviously it all worked out. And again, I feel as though I work with a bunch of people that sometimes I don't deserve to work with, because they're much more, they don't have a record. Well, I'm assuming, I don't know, but you know what I mean? Like, everybody graduated college and stuff. I feel lucky to be where I'm at, is what I'm trying to say. What else did I want to go over here? I guess that was about it. And I also kind of just wanted to touch on, like, I do think that us who we're lucky enough to get a second chance at life, or maybe a fifth or a sixth, whatever it is, I do tend to think that, like, we'll be the best employees, if we're doing everything right in our own lives and living the way we should to stay sober, that we've talked about for 20 some weeks now on this podcast. Like, we tend to be really good employees. Like, this is just in my case, and I know it's the same, for you guys. Like, I feel like we've all had jobs where we've been pretty in charge of things going on, right? Because we were responsible, we showed up, screwed around minimally, that kind of stuff, and it's really one or the other, because the other way is we're not taking care of ourselves in our sobriety or spiritual life, and we'll be complete shitbags and end up relapsing anyway. So it's like two extremes. You really probably won't find. That's kind of what I told my boss that one time regarding that hire, was like I might regret saying this, but she might be our best employee, So anyway, I guess that's it.
Thank you, Corey. That was good. And just before we get to Greg, I want to point one other thing out too. For the listeners, and for anybody the listeners may impart some wisdom on, giving a 2-week notice is proper.
Oh yeah.
That is the proper way to leave a job. Maybe the job calls for a month's notice. My old job did. As a courtesy, I gave them a month. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe you give them 2 weeks and they say, hey, we're good. After a week, you're fine, or get the hell out of here today. Regardless, offering that to your employer, it is such an integrity thing. And if we are people in recovery, it should be for anyone, recovery or not recovery. And I can promise you that a lot of people in recovery and not in recovery do not give 2 weeks. They don't care about it. They just leave. It is the proper thing to do to give your current employer as much heads up as you can, or at least 2 weeks, and then let them make the decision whether you go or stay or whatever the case may be. And that's important. So
there's
And
such
also-
power in quitting a job correctly in
Yes.
sobriety. You know what I mean?
That also reminds me of a line in the literature that we read of today. I own a little company. There are 2 employees who produce as much as 5 normal salesmen. And he's talking about 2 recovered employees. And Corey, you nailed that.
Yep.
Right.
All right, GA, take us home, buddy.
Yeah, man. I like what you guys have said. And I'm right there with it. My first job in recovery I got while I was still working in treatment. I had a case, or I'm sorry, while I was still going to treatment, I had a case manager there that was working there, and she she knew my restaurant background and everything like that. And I decided that I was going to stay in Florida. So I was going to transition into this outpatient program where I would still do some of the coursework for the rehab, but I would have a little bit more freedom. And I had to get a job because I had no money, right? And I went to work at this little family-owned restaurant, still right there in downtown Stewart. Great place to eat. Nothing but great things to say about them. But it's a little family-owned place. No real structure there at all. And what do you know? Like the first night that I'm working there, as just a line cook, the end of the night rolls around and they throw a 5-gallon bucket down the cook's line. It's full of ice and beers. Right. And I was like, what is this? Like, and they're like, yeah, we just get shift beers every night. I'm like, okay. And they're offering me, and I'm like, no, I got to drive. I didn't have a car.
I remember you telling me about that.
The rehab driver was picking me up. Right. But I made the excuse, I got to drive. Right. Well, fast forward like 3 nights, and it just so happens to be like the 5-year, I think, anniversary of the restaurant being open. And so the owner comes in and the managers come in and they pull us all into the back after the shift is over, and they hand everybody shots. And at that time, I certainly wasn't recovered. I wasn't really working a program. I've talked about this before. I was fresh out of treatment, and I didn't really even know what I wanted, except I knew I wanted a fresh start. And that's how I know God. One of the reasons why I know God's real, and call it whatever you want, a higher power moment. But like for me, on my own power for 32 years, I could have never just not taken that shot. And I remember, it was like time slowed down. I'm sitting there with a shot in my hand, and I slid it away. And that was actually one of the first jobs that I have not given a 2-week notice to, but I did. I took the guy's stuff back, and I said, with all due respect, I should have disclosed this to you. This was like the following day, and I was still technically in training, even though I knew what I was doing, but I should have disclosed this to you. I'm still technically a client at a rehab center right now, and I just don't think, you got a great place here, but it's not for me. I'm not okay working in this environment, and from there, like, I remember, when I met Bill was the guy who ran our transitional community at the time. And he's like, dude, you got to have that rent money. And I had nothing. Right. So I had to go work at the labor hall. So those dudes knew I was in some kind of recovery, because they were handing me a paycheck that I was taking down to the office to Bill or the other lady that ran it. Like, here's my rent money, but yeah, for me, man, it's not something I necessarily disclose in an interview. I might, I've gotten different reactions to it. I've gotten people that say, oh, that's awesome. My so-and-so is in recovery, and that's really awesome. And congratulations for you. And then I've had some people look at me and be like, all right, cool, dude. Congrats. You're not a fucking scumbag. Right. So, it kind of works both ways. But for me, I didn't get recovered, and I didn't do all this. And like Bill said, how am I going to be silent about the most important thing in my life? Right. So I let people know. I might not let them know right off the rip in a job interview. I will say this, having been someone that did work in the substance abuse treatment field for several years, two big things. Number one, obviously, you're going to want to disclose to those people how far along you are in your program, what you're doing to stay recovered, because it is of the utmost importance that you're working your own program, or you will never be effective in any kind of setting working in that kind of setting. And number two, you've got to be able to set your healthy boundaries with whatever center you're working for. I started doing that at first, man, but those boundaries kind of slid. And honestly, there's a reason why I'm not still working in that field, right? And it was because I could not set proper boundaries. I tend to become, it's like you guys have already talked about. We become recovered. We're on this new way of life, and we actually want to give back to our jobs. It's not just a 9 to 5 for us anymore. This is I want to make this place better by my presence and my work, right? And so I am an extremes kind of guy. So I dove a little bit too far into it, so setting boundaries and making sure you maintain your own program is of the utmost importance if that's the field you're going to go into. But all that being said, like, the people that I work with today, they know half of them listen to the podcast, which is awesome. Shout out to you guys. But they've known I've been in recovery. I didn't disclose it to my boss in my interview process, but like I have in an interview process before, because there's a lot of people that ask the question, well, why'd you move to Florida for 5 years? What brings you back? And there's been a couple times where I've lied in that situation, and I just felt like so dumb about it afterwards. Like, why am I lying? Like, I don't need to necessarily like go down the rabbit hole of, I went down there because I had to go to rehab or else I was going to kill myself, but, on the flip side of that, like, there's, I'm no good at lying anymore. Right. So I feel like a hypocrite when I'm facing a situation like that. However, the people I work with today know I'm in recovery. I have a gentleman that I work with hand in hand every day that's like 14 years sober, and we worked at a previous company together, and then he got a job with this company, and he brought me onto this company that he's currently with, or that we're both currently with. So, but what's even more important, and what's worked out more times than not in several different jobs, is when I'm not quiet about this stuff, when I'm open and honest about it, miraculous things happen, right? And I can tell you that I have been able to help more people as a result of, like, oh, you're struggling, or oh, your husband's having an issue or whatever. I got a guy that you can pick up the phone and call. His name's Greg, and he'll and look, it's not me doing that, but it is part of like the good juju that we're putting out in the atmosphere comes back to us, right? And I think that, if I'm in a position to help, whether or not I actually, help that person or not, as long as I extend the hand and try, that's what's most important. So I don't believe in recovering silently, because, for us, man, we lived in silence for too long, so I'm here to help people. I'm here to make a maximum impact on the world. And so that's all I got. Thank you.
Great stuff, guys. Great stuff. All the way around, I think we'll leave it with this. We'll wrap it up. We'll leave it with this. I was taught a long time ago that as long as it's not on any type of level of, press, radio, films, and obviously we got to be careful with social media these days. As long as it's not on that level, I can break my own anonymity wherever I want, but your anonymity is sacred, meaning I can't break your anonymity without your permission or whatever the case may be. And that was a valuable lesson I learned. So,
Shawn,
good stuff.
Shawn, we're wrapping up here. I know that, but I don't know if any of us said this, so I need to say it.
Okay.
We also, as far as the workplace goes, honorable mention: don't work too much in recovery. Don't let they say don't let the blessings of recovery get in the way of the blessings of recovery. Right? Something like that. Is that right?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the right saying, but your point is spot on. Yes.
Yeah. Don't work 16 hours a day because you'll die.
That same line that Bill quoted in that same chapter, it talks about that, right? You may have to curb his enthusiasm to work 16 hours a day and have him play a little bit and have him go be with his family and do other things. And I think
unless it's only for a
important.
month. If it's only for a month, you can do it in Minnesota. But after that, you got to go back to normal.
Well, you're doing both jobs, aren't you?
I'm doing 3 jobs.
So,
but it's not that bad. It doesn't sound that. It sounds bad, but it's not that bad.
Sounds like you need to curb your enthusiasm.
I'll curb it. Let's land the plane, guys.
Shout out to our listeners. Please like, follow, and share on all socials at Trudge Report Pod. Again, that is at Trudge Report Pod. Email us, trudgereportpod@yahoo.com. We should probably check that. We say that every week. We should probably
check it. I have it on my phone. Nobody cares. They don't care to email us.
Someone
send in your request.
An email.
Yeah. Send in your request for any topics, questions, or comments to any of those handles. Remember, we're all here. If anyone wants to talk about recovery and our experiences, or if you are struggling with some form of addiction. Thank you again to Janine and Stella Mix Podcast Management. Good night, God bless, and may you trudge the road of happy destiny. We will see you next week.